All right, so doing this video because today is July the 10th, and 10 years ago, Noelle and I got married. Walked down the aisle, got married, and it was one of the most amazing days, obviously. Now, the birth of my three kids were obviously up there. I can mention the 5 points in my life where something was really amazing, right? And I would say that obviously being married to Noelle was one of those, and it was great because my mom was there. And, she's no longer alive, but my mom was there. My sisters, my nephews. It was great. You know what I mean? Like it was great. The Where we got married at was actually a I forget the name of the place now, but it was just an indoor what's it called? It's not a greenhouse, but where there's a bunch of plants and stuff like that. Conservatory. It was a conservatory, and there was a waterfall, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Right? And it's somebody said it's not in the best neighborhood. I'm like, I don't care. When we were there, we didn't notice anything that was amiss, and the inside of it was just beautiful. It was an amazing time. And outside's also beautiful. We have a lot of pictures from the outside, the inside. It was just amazing, right? And so that day really highlighted a point that was so important. Because as you guys know, Noelle's family was just completely against it and me. And still to this day, some are. We're talking 10 years now. Some are, which is funny because I remember 10, 11 years ago, many folks didn't think that much would happen. Now, keep in mind, I don't know people's personal mentality and thought process, and I don't give much thought to that, right? I just don't. But people are creatures of habit. And if you don't have much experience in something, then you only go on what you have heard. And I would assume, and I've had people, when I did videos talking about, it was a few years ago, racist in laws and things like that. There were people saying, well, you're not going to get any sort of respect from them now, and you're not going to. They were just basically saying, why am I throwing them under the bus? And it's like, I'm not throwing them under the bus. I am someone who does not shy away from anything. I don't fear anybody. Period. It's just, to me, that doesn't make any sense to fear a person or to fear what someone's got to say. I don't fear anybody. And what I'm going to say to on video or to someone, I'm going to say to that person's face too. It doesn't really, and Noelle knows this, but because she knows me very well. My sisters know me very well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't sit here and hold my tongue for anybody. Now, I will do that to try to keep the peace, but if it comes to a point of where I need to say something, then I'm going to say something. And what I say here, I would say directly to someone's face. And so I think that is what shakes a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like it rattles people because they're not expecting that. But I call it like I see it. And if something appears a certain way, then that's the way that I take it. Now, that may not be reality, but if you're not given a different example or a different point of view, and if folks aren't really stating their position as to why they don't like you, then it only leads to so many different areas where I can actually go with that because you don't know the person. So, I don't, the video I did a few years ago saying that, my racist in-laws, I don't regret the video. I'd do the video 15 times over because to me that was the reality. But I remember that folks didn't really think that Noelle and I would last longer than just a few days or maybe a few months, if that. And the fact that we're here 10 years married is a testament to the faith that Noelle and I have in each other and in God, that we only had each other. Keep in mind, my mom was all for us. My mom loved Noelle like she was a daughter. And when she passed, Noelle cried and cried and cried, and still does get worked up by it. It really, really shook her because my mom treated her like a daughter-in-law, like a daughter, really. You know what I mean? And so it was just a different world. But my mother always had our back, but she was living 200 and something miles away. So when we were in Indianapolis, we just had each other to rely on. We had a few friends here and there, sure. Then when we moved to Albuquerque, we didn't know anybody. So we had only ourselves to rely on. You know what I mean? Like, we had no one. We slowly gained friends here and there, but at that point, we had already established ourselves. And then moving to Seattle, it was just easy because we have had experience of having absolutely no one. I mean, the kids would only get gifts from my mom and my one sister. That's it. And of course, we had what we call our Cuban cousins. They would send, birthday things, and still do, birthday stuff and Christmas stuff. That was the only people that would really interact or involve themselves with our kids. So we've been used to, as a family, of relying on ourselves. And it created such a tremendously strong bond. If you go back 10 years ago, when we first got married, Noelle and I were not that strong together at all. We really were not. If you go back to when we first were dating, we had not arguments every day, but we definitely had arguments at least a couple of times a month. There were times when I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. But we had so much baggage that we had to eventually just cut away. And I had to cut away my own baggage. She had to cut away her own baggage. And things got a lot easier. Like, I had already spent the time to kind of figure out who I was whenever I was divorced the first time. And so I kind of figured out who I was and what I wanted, but still carried a bunch of baggage. And so no matter whoever I got with, it wasn't going to be successful unless I cut the baggage, right? So I was lucky, and really by the grace of God, I was lucky enough to cut the baggage in time to where it didn't even matter who was in our corner and who wasn't. We started to build a pretty strong relationship at that point, right? And Noelle became her own person more and more. You know what I mean? Like, she really discovered who she was and the things that really made her tick and the things that really made her love life. You know what I mean? It was funny because a lot of people in her family thought that I controlled Noelle, and she used to call us all the time, and she doesn't now. And it's like, if you knew Noelle, the kids, when I talk about, like, you can't tell your mom anything, like, she does her own thing, and they're like, yeah, no. Like, it's just funny to me how a lot of people in her family just did not know her. You know what I mean? Like, they spent all that time and didn't really know her. We had to really be down in the trenches so much, her and I, that we really knew who each other was. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was weird that I knew, and I would see her and how she would interact with people, and I could tell the difference between how she interacted with her family versus interacting with her friends. And I'm like, how come you don't interact the same? You know what I mean? Like, she was real and authentic with her friends, but different with her family. And I could point that out, and she was amazed by it. And it was because we were in the trenches together so much that we had to rely on one another. Right? So I knew who she was, to the point of where, and she did the same with me. She knew who I was. And we started to talk and finish each other's sentences with the same words. We still do that. She can be thinking of a song and I'll break out singing it. We're that in tune with each other because we had no other choice. Otherwise, we wouldn't have survived. You see what I'm saying? Like, we had a lot of different things that were not only just family related, but other things. Me losing jobs and, being laid off and different things like that. We had our backs up against the wall. And so every single time, she kind of mellowed me out when it was needed, and I mellowed her out when it was needed. We just kind of balanced each other. So I have people all the time ask, like, how, I want a successful relationship. How do I get set? And I'm like, I really can't tell you other than work on yourself. You know what I mean? Like, really work on yourself, discover who you are. Because things just started to work when they needed to work. You know what I mean? Like, I really and truly just committed myself to being a better person and really doing the best I could to keep us together as a family. That was my main goal. And in doing so, she was doing the exact same thing. You know what I mean? And we just kind of made things work. And now, being parents to kids, it's got its challenging points, obviously, raising kids, but it's not super hard. We just think alike in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that we, are different in the way that we think. She challenges me. There, coming from the South, I had certain viewpoints. You know what I mean? Like, black men from the South had certain strong viewpoints. And she challenged some of those viewpoints. And over time, she didn't tell me that they were wrong or that, it was right. She was just challenging, playing devil's advocate a lot of times. And over time, I kind of changed my stance on things. I'm like, I didn't think of it that way. I have people, even on our Discord, who will make a statement and then they'll apologize to me. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize, even before I said anything. Because I've learned early on that my view may not be, my opinion is just my opinion, right? Doesn't mean that's fact or fiction. It's just that's my opinion. That's my view. But it could be that we think differently on something, but you may have a point of view on something that I've never really thought about. There's a different angle I've never really been exposed to. And maybe I can get on board with that. You see what I'm saying? Like, I never believe in just shutting someone down completely unless it's just complete bigotry and ignorance and stupidity. That's different. But we can have difference of opinion, and I can learn from that and grow from that. And the reason why I'm like that now, as opposed to back in the day, I wasn't going to hear it, is because of Noelle. Because of who she is and how she just moves in life and her different view. Of course, she's went to school for social work, but just her whole views on things kind of made me change some of my stance on things. And the same thing goes for me. There's certain views I had and experiences that she kind of just grew from. So 10 years went by very fast. Very, very fast. We look back at pictures and say, wow, we look like kids back then. It's true. I've aged fast. And I joke and I say, well, it's because I'm married and because I have kids. But I would not take any of that back. And I don't take it for granted. I am blessed. When I tell people I'm blessed, I say it a lot. I believe in that. I'm truly blessed. I don't have a need for anything else. Anything else is kind of like I don't know, a cherry on top. You know what I mean? Like, I have everything that I need. You know what I mean? Like, once you discover that it's not so much the outside appearance of things, it's what matters on the inside. That is when you start to realize, like, wow, you've come a long way. Because my mom even said the same thing. She saw me doing one of the girls' hair one time, and she was just amazed. So I was doing it quick. I was combing her hair and putting it back in a ponytail and all of this. And she was just shocked because I was the youngest kid, the only boy. I never combed a girl's hair before in my life. And the fact that she saw her son being able to do that, and she's like, wow, you've really grown. And so she understood that, wow, I see a huge change in who you were. And again, it's because I had no choice. You see what I'm saying? Like, I had no choice not because of no one really being there for me and that type of thing necessarily, but, you do what you have to do. You see what I'm saying? If Noelle's gone to work or gone to the store and the girls need their hair done, I can't just sit there and wait for her to get back. You know what I mean? Like, you adapt and you don't complain about it. And so to me, we struggled so long that now we're just successful. You know, we're successful in terms of getting a house here. We had two homes at the same time, and it's due to extremely hard work, and it's due to us working well together. I moved across country with her because I trusted her. I was married before, and wouldn't even move on the other side of town because I was just worried. With Noelle, it was easy. That was an easy decision to move anywhere. If she wanted to go to, I don't know, Ethiopia, I'd be right behind her without even thinking about it. You know, just the way that we do everything just makes sense. It makes it a lot easier. Running this business makes it a lot easier. Just everything. Everything is not really so much of a challenge. I mean, you have your typical challenges and things like that, don't get me wrong, but because we're really so much in sync, it's not a big long debate. We don't have financial issues and arguments. We don't have and I'm not saying we're perfect. Don't get me wrong. You know, don't get me wrong. But we just don't argue. We really and truly don't argue. I can't even think of the last time that we actually argued. I can't even think. I can't even tell you because we just really don't. There's times when we have, absolutely. But it's just a rare thing. It's just a really rare thing. So 10 years went by quick. It's been an amazing 10 years. We've grown a lot during that time. We've created three beautiful girls during that time. There's nothing more that I need to achieve, to be honest with you. I've achieved everything I wanted to in life, got the person that I needed in my life, got the family that I wanted. Like I said, I'm beyond blessed. Anything more is just extra. It's an extra bonus. But anyhow, after this, we're going to prepare for the day because Noelle is getting food from the Koi, which is a sushi restaurant here in Tacoma. It's bomb. The food there is amazing. So if you like sushi or if you feel like, I don't know if I like it, this is the place to go. Because they have other things too, obviously, that you can get. But it is so good. We're going to get some stuff at the Koi. She's already got a cake and something else. There's something else that was happening. We've already exchanged gifts. We're bad about that. Noelle's really bad about that. If it's Christmas, I'm opening up gifts like on the 20th. You know, when it's our anniversary, I'm opening up gifts like on like the 6th or the 5th. So the 10th is when our July 10th. But it's usually July 5th, right after the 4th of July is typically when I'm opening up gifts. She's just bad at waiting. So then I'm bad at waiting. So I'm like, you go ahead and open it. So anyhow, we've already done all of that. Now it's just going to be the other part of the celebration. We've gotten some well wishes and stuff like that on Facebook and different places. So we appreciate that. I'm really grateful for everyone who has been on all of our social medias and things like that. We really appreciate you guys. We don't say it enough, but thank you all so much. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.